There's a voice inside you. You know the one. The one that whispers right before you give up. The one that tells you to stop, to slow down, to rest, to take it easy. The one that sounds kind, but it's not. It's the voice of weakness, of fear, of comfort, and every day you face it. Every time you hit snooze, skip the gym, avoid the hard thing, you're feeding it. Every excuse, every "I'll start tomorrow," every "I deserve a break," makes it stronger. It's quiet. It's polite. It never shouts. It just convinces. It tells you you've done enough, that you worked hard yesterday, that no one will notice if you take it easy. And most people listen. Most people spend their entire lives negotiating with that voice and losing. But there's another one, a quieter one. The one you rarely hear because you drown it out with comfort. The one that says, get up, do it anyway. Stop waiting for perfect. That's the voice of discipline. And once you start listening to it, your life changes forever. David Goggins found that voice in pain. He didn't find it in success or applause or balance. He built it in hell, running on broken legs, covered in blisters, lungs burning, mind screaming. And yet that voice whispered back, keep going. It didn't care how he felt. It didn't care about comfort. It cared about who he was becoming. That's what separates the weak from the strong. The strong have trained their inner voice to obey truth, not feelings. And Jocko Willink calls that discipline, not motivation, not inspiration, discipline. The ability to act, regardless of how you feel, because your feelings lie. They'll tell you you're too tired, too busy, too broken, too late. But discipline? It's built on something that never lies, action. Every morning you wake up and listen to the weaker voice. You're digging your own grave. You're teaching yourself that comfort matters more than purpose, that how you feel matters more than what you said you'd do. But every time you push through, even just once, you flip the power. The strong voice gets louder. The weak one starts to fade. That's how change really works. Not in some grand explosion of motivation, but in quiet, boring, relentless repetition. You start showing up when no one's watching. You start working when it's inconvenient. You start doing the right thing, even when no one cares. And suddenly, you're not the same person anymore. You don't wait for the mood. You don't wait for the spark. You move, because it's who you are. That's what it means to become StillDriven. It's not rage. It's not noise. It's not hype. It's control. It's focus. It's mastery over your own mind. The voice inside is always there. It doesn't disappear. Even Goggins hears it. Even Jocko hears it. Even the greatest in the world, they just stop negotiating with it. They let it talk. Then they act anyway, because they understand one truth. The weak voice never goes away, but it stops mattering when you stop listening. You can't silence it, but you can starve it. With effort, with movement, with consistency every rep, every mile, every early morning, every hard choice. It's not about results. It's about domination, not of the world, of yourself. You see, the hardest war you'll ever fight is the one that happens in your own head. And the battlefield? It's every decision you make, every time you think, I'll do it later, every time you say, it's fine, I'll skip it, every time you look for easy, that's where you lose. But every time you do it anyway, you win a small battle. You take a small piece of yourself back, and that's how greatness is built, not in leaps, but in inches. Goggins didn't wake up one day unbreakable. He built it brick by brick, pain by pain. He faced himself. He listened to the weak voice, then proved it wrong. You have that same choice. Every day, every hour, every moment you feel resistance. That's the test. The weak voice will say, you deserve rest. The strong one will whisper, you haven't earned it yet. And that's where growth lives. It's not in success. It's not in recognition. It's in the quiet war between who you are and who you could be. Most people never fight that war. They surrender before it begins. They spend their lives justifying mediocrity, telling themselves stories about why they can't. And the voice inside becomes their master. But the few, the rare, they decide to take control. They fight back. They realize the voice doesn't go away, but it can be trained. They turn it from an enemy into an ally. The voice that once said, stop, now says go. The one that said, you can't, now says you will. The one that said, you're tired, now says you're not done. That's mastery. That's discipline. That's freedom. Not freedom from pain, but freedom from weakness. Freedom from the constant negotiation with your own mind. You can spend your life chasing peace, or you can earn it. And peace doesn't come from comfort. It comes from control. You can't control the world. You can't control other people, but you can control your mind. And that's everything, because the voice inside, that's your real battlefield. And until you win that fight, you'll never be free. The mind is loud when you're weak. It argues, it complains, it finds reasons to stop. But the more you push, the quieter it gets. At first it's chaos, a storm of noise, fear, doubt, distraction. But you keep moving. One more rep, one more step, one more hour in the dark, and then something happens. The storm doesn't stop, but you stop caring. You stop listening. You realize the noise doesn't decide. You do. That's the shift. That's the moment the voice inside changes tone. It stops screaming at you. It starts watching you, because now it knows who's in control. Most people never make it that far. They quit before the silence. They never see what's on the other side of pain. But that's where everything is. Strength isn't built in comfort. Discipline isn't born in balance. Growth isn't found in ease. They all live past the noise. The body breaks first. Then the mind fights back. And if you keep going long enough, the fight turns into focus. You don't think about quitting anymore. You think about movement, about rhythm, about breathing. You become precise, controlled, still. That's what people don't understand. Discipline isn't fire. It's not rage. It's not hype. It's calm. It's quiet. It's control. Goggins calls it the callus on the mind. Every hard moment is friction that hardens you. Every failure, every rejection, every lonely night, they're all sharpening you. The world thinks you need motivation. You don't. You need standards, a code. A line that doesn't move, no matter how tired you are. That's what Jocko means by discipline equals freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from weakness. Freedom from yourself. Because when you live by discipline, you don't need to think. You just do. The alarm rings. You get up, no argument, no delay, no negotiation. That's freedom. The ability to act without hesitation. You can live your whole life chasing comfort. But comfort is a cage. It looks soft, it feels warm, but it steals your edge. Every time you choose ease, you give away strength. Every time you choose later, you lose ground. And one day you wake up and realize you've been asleep for years, dreaming of change, never building it. That's the voice's favorite trick. It makes you comfortable with your own potential. It tells you you're doing enough. That's how mediocrity survives. It disguises itself as satisfaction. But there's something worse than pain. Regret. Regret is when you finally see who you could have been and know it's too late. And that's why you can't stop. You can rest later. You can breathe later. You can enjoy later. But you can't stop now, because now is all you have. This is the voice the greats learn to hear. The one that doesn't care about comfort. The one that speaks in discipline. The rock wakes up before the sun, not because he loves it, but because he respects it. He knows the morning doesn't care about his feelings. It rewards movement. Kobe Bryant lived by that same rule. The Mamba mindset wasn't about aggression. It was about awareness. Knowing that the work is bigger than emotion, bigger than fear, bigger than doubt. You can't feel your way to greatness. You work your way there. You can't talk your way into discipline. You live your way into it. Every time you act in alignment with that inner standard, you grow. And every time you don't, you shrink. It's not about winning or losing. It's about direction. Every decision takes you closer to control or deeper into chaos. You choose every single day which direction you go. And if you ever think the price is too high, remember this: you're paying either way. You'll pay in pain now, or you'll pay in regret later. But only one of those payments gives you freedom. You can't escape the voice inside, but you can teach it to obey. You can teach it to listen. You can teach it to follow your lead. That's what mastery is, not the absence of weakness, but control over it. When the body breaks, you keep moving. When the mind hesitates, you decide. When everything hurts, you stay calm. That's discipline. That's freedom. That's the quiet war every warrior fights. It never ends. It just changes form. The weight gets heavier, the stakes get higher, but the rule stays the same. Don't stop. Every morning you wake up, the war begins again. The weak voice returns, new excuses, same energy. And every day you answer the same way. No, not today. Not this time. Not anymore. You keep moving. Not because it's easy, not because it feels good, because it's right. The voice inside isn't your enemy anymore. It's your mirror. It shows you exactly where you still hesitate, exactly where you still fall short. And every time you face it, you refine it. The process never ends, because mastery never ends. You can't become unbreakable overnight. You become unbreakable through thousands of small breaks, and the decision to rebuild every single time. That's what they don't show you. That's what no one claps for. The grind you do when no one knows your name. The hours you spend perfecting something no one sees. The effort you give when the world stopped watching. That's where greatness hides. Not in light, but in shadow. So keep going. Keep fighting the voice. Keep mastering the silence. Because every time you win that war inside, the world outside starts to bend. Be calm. Be sharp. Be relentless. Be still driven. When you fight the voice long enough, something changes. It stops fighting back. It starts to follow. It becomes part of you. You stop hearing two voices. You hear one. Clear, focused, certain. That's the moment you've been chasing. Not happiness, not motivation, not hype. Clarity. The quiet inside the chaos. The stillness in the noise. The control that can't be shaken. You realize you don't need more. You just need less. Fewer lies, fewer distractions, fewer excuses. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to stop abandoning who you are. Discipline doesn't make you superhuman. It makes you authentic. It strips away everything fake until only truth remains. That's what all the greats discovered. The world doesn't reward perfection. It rewards persistence. It doesn't care how you feel. It cares that you show up, every scar you carry, proof you refuse to quit. Every failure, evidence of effort. Every quiet morning you worked alone, testimony to your discipline. You start to see the beauty in the repetition. You start to love the process, not for what it gives you, but for what it takes away. The fear, the weakness, the noise, the grind becomes meditation. The pain becomes peace. The silence becomes strength. That's the transformation. When the struggle becomes the sanctuary, you no longer chase easy days. You look for challenges, because you know that's where you meet yourself. You no longer fear failure, because you've failed and survived. You no longer crave comfort, because you've seen what it costs. You no longer need approval, because you've earned respect from the only person that matters. The voice that once lied to you now protects you. It keeps you aligned. It keeps you honest. It reminds you who you said you'd be. It's no longer the voice of fear, it's the voice of truth. And that's freedom. Not freedom from work, freedom through it. Freedom from the endless pull of weakness. Freedom from the lies of comfort. Freedom from yourself. You start to move different. You don't rush anymore. You don't seek noise. You don't need validation. You've built something deeper. Peace under pressure. That's what people see but can't explain. They see calm in chaos. They see focus when others fold. They see silence when others panic. They call it toughness. They call it mindset. But it's just mastery. You trained your mind like a muscle, one rep at a time, until it obeyed. That's the voice inside now. Not fear, not doubt, discipline. And it guides you through everything. The world will still test you. Life will still hit you. But now you don't break, you bend. You don't panic, you breathe. You don't react, you respond. You've built something unshakable inside you. Not made of motivation, not made of hype, made of repetition, honesty, and pain. That's your foundation now. That's your silence. That's your control. And once you have that, you become untouchable, because there's nothing left to fear. The worst has already happened. You faced yourself, and you didn't run. That's the real victory. Not fame, not success, not applause. The peace that comes when you know you can endure anything. That's strength. That's freedom. That's still driven, because in the end, the voice inside never really goes away. It just changes sides. It becomes your ally. It becomes your compass. It becomes you. And when that happens, you stop chasing greatness. You start living it. Be calm. Be sharp. Be relentless. Be still driven.